Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator created the heaven and the land. The land was without form and empty, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the creative breath of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator moved upon the face of the waters. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw the light that it was good, and the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator divided the light from the darkness. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator made the expanse and divided the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator called the expanse heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together to one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator called the dry land land, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw that it was good. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let the land bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the land." And it was so. The land brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw that it was good. The evening and the morning were the third day. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, seasons, days, and years. Let them be for lights in the expanse of the heaven to give light upon the land." And it was so. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator set them in the expanse of the heaven to give light upon the land, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw that it was good. The evening and the morning were the fourth day. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has living eternal life breath, and birds that may fly above the land in the open expanse of heaven." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator created great sea creatures and every living eternal life breath, being that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kinds, and every winged bird after his kind. And the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw that it was good. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the land." The evening and the morning were the fifth day. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let the land bring forth the living eternal life breath, being after his kind, cattle, creeping thing, and beast of the land after his kind." And it was so. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator made the beast of the land after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps upon the land after his kind. And the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw that it was good. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Let us make humankind in our image, after our likeness, and let them have rule over the fish of the sea, and the birds of heaven, and the cattle, and over all the land, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the land." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator created humankind in his own image. In the image of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator created he them, male and female created he them. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator blessed them, and said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the land, and subdue it, and have rule over the fish of the sea, and the birds of heaven, and every living eternal life breath, being that moves upon the land." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said, "Look, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the land, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed to you it will be for food, to every beast of the land, and to every bird of the heaven, and to everything that creeps upon the land wherein there is living eternal life breath. I have given every green herb for food." And it was so. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw everything that he had made, and look, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Genesis chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the land were finished, and all their hosts. On the seventh day the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator finished his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work, which the supreme authority mighty Creator created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and of the land, when they were created in the day that he exists. Supreme authority mighty Creator made the land and the heavens. Every plant of the field before it was in the land, and every herb of the field before it grew. Because he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator had not caused it to rain upon the land, and there was not a human to work the ground. But a mist went up from the land and watered the whole face of the ground. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator formed the human from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the human became a living eternal life breath being. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the human whom he had formed. Out of the ground he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it was parted, and became 4 heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which surrounds the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one that surrounds the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes toward the east of Assur. And the fourth river is Euphrates. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator took the human and put him into the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator commanded the human, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you will not eat from it, because in the day that you eat from it you will surely die. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator said, it is not good that the human should be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. Out of the ground he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens, and brought them to the human to see what he would call them, and whatever the human called every living eternal life breath being, that was its name. The human gave names to all cattle, and to the birds of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. But for the human there was not found a helper suitable for him. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator caused a deep sleep to fall upon the human, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. The rib, which he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator had taken from the human, he made into a woman and brought her to the human. The human said, this now is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She will be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man will leave his father and his mother, and will be joined to his woman, and they will become one flesh. They were both naked, the human and his woman, and were not ashamed. Genesis chapter 3. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator had made. And he said to the woman, has the supreme authority mighty Creator indeed said, you will not eat of every tree of the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden the supreme authority mighty Creator has said, you will not eat from it, neither will you touch it, lest you die. The serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, because the supreme authority mighty Creator knows that in the day you eat from it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like the supreme authority mighty Creator, knowing good and evil. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took from its fruit, and ate, and gave also to her man with her, and he ate. The eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. They heard the sound of he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the human and his woman hid themselves from the face of he exists, supreme authority mighty Creator among the trees of the garden. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator called to the human and said to him, where are you? He said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. He said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat? The human said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator said to the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate. He exists, supreme authority mighty Creator said to the serpent, Because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field. Upon your belly you will go, and dust you will eat all the days of your life. I will put hostility between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will bruise your head, and you will bruise his heel. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your pain and your conception. In pain you will bring forth children, and your desire will be toward your man, and he will rule over you. To Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your woman, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you will not eat from it, cursed is the ground. Because of you in sorrow you will eat from it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles it will bring forth to you, and you will eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you will eat bread until you return to the ground, because from it you were taken. Because dust you are, and to dust you will return. Adam called his woman's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. He exists, supreme authority, mighty creator, made coats of skins for Adam and for his woman and clothed them. He exists, supreme authority, mighty creator, said, look, the human has become like one of us to know good and evil, and now lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and lie forever. Therefore he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator, sent him out of the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he was taken. So he drove out the human, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every direction to guard the travel path to the tree of life. Genesis chapter 4. Adam knew Eve his woman, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man with he exists. She again bore his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a worker of the ground. In the process of time it happened that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering to he exists. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock, and of their fat portions, and he exists respected Abel and his offering. But to Cain and to his offering he did not respect, and Cain was very angry, and his face fell. He exists said to Cain, why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, wrong crouches at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it. Cain spoke with Abel his brother, and it happened, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. He exists said to Cain, where is Abel your brother? And he said, I do not know, am I my brother's keeper? He said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground. Now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and wanderer you will be in the land. Cain said to he exists, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Look, you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground, and from your face I will be hidden, and I will be a fugitive and wanderer in the land. And it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me. He exists said to him, therefore whoever kills Cain, vengeance will be taken on him sevenfold. And he exists set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. Cain went out from the face of he exists, and dwelt in the land of Nod east of Eden. Cain knew his woman, and she conceived and bore Enoch, and he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Arad, and Arad fathered Methuel, and Methuel fathered Methushael, and Methushael fathered Lamech. Lamech took two women, the name of one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. Adah bore Jabal, he was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal, he was the father of all those who play the harp and flute. Zillah also bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron, and the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his women Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, women of Lamech, listen to my speech, because I have killed a man for wounding me, and a young man for striking me. If Cain will be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 77-fold. Adam knew his woman again, and she bore a son, and called his name Seth, because the supreme authority, mighty creator, has appointed me another seed instead of Abel whom Cain killed. To Seth also there was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. Then people began to call upon the name of he exists. Genesis chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that the supreme authority, mighty creator, created humankind, in the likeness of the supreme authority, mighty creator made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam. In the day when they were created, Adam lived 130 years, and fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. The days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he fathered sons and daughters. All the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years, and fathered Enosh. Seth lived after he fathered Enosh 807 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years, and fathered Kenan. Enosh lived after he fathered Kenan 815 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Kenan lived 70 years, and fathered Mahalalel. Kenan lived after he fathered Mahalalel 840 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years, and fathered Jared. Mahalalel lived after he fathered Jared 830 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years, and fathered Enoch. Jared lived after he fathered Enoch 800 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years, and fathered Methuselah. Enoch walked with the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator after he fathered Methuselah 300 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, and he was not, because the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator took him. Methuselah lived 187 years, and fathered Lamech. Methuselah lived after he fathered Lamech 782 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years, and fathered a son. He called his name Noah, saying, "This one will comfort us concerning our work and the labor of our hands, because of the ground which he exists has cursed." Lamech lived after he fathered Noah 595 years, and fathered sons and daughters. All the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Noah was 500 years old, and Noah fathered Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Genesis chapter 6. It happened when humankind began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them. The sons of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator saw the daughters of humankind that they were beautiful, and they took women for themselves of all whom they chose. He exists said, "My creative breath will not strive with humankind forever, because he is flesh, yet his days will be 120 years. There were mighty ones on the land in those days, and also after that, when the sons of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator came into the daughters of humankind, and they bore children to them. These became mighty ones who were of old, men of reputation. He exists saw that the wickedness of humankind was great on the land, and every imagination of the thoughts of his inner thinking center was only evil continually. It grieved he exists that he had made humankind on the land, and it pained him in his inner thinking center. He exists said, "I will wipe away humankind whom I have created from the face of the land, both humankind and beast, creeping thing, and birds of the heavens, because it grieves me that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of he exists. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a right man and complete in his generations. Noah walked with the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator. Noah fathered 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The land was corrupt before the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, and the land was filled with violence. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator looked upon the land, and look, it was corrupt, because all flesh had corrupted their travel path upon the land. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said to Noah, "The end of all flesh has come before me, because the land is filled with violence through them. Look, I will destroy them with the land. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Rooms will you make in the ark, and you will cover it inside and outside with pitch. This is how you will make it. The length of the ark 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. A window will you make to the ark, and in a cubit you will finish it above. And the door of the ark you will set in its side, with lower. Second, and third levels you will make it. Look, I bring a flood of waters upon the land, to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life from under heaven. Everything that is on the land will die, but with you I will establish my binding agreement, and you will come into the ark, you and your sons and your woman and your sons' women with you, of every living eternal life breath being of all flesh. 2 of every kind will you bring into the ark to keep them alive with you. They will be male and female, of birds after their kinds, of cattle after their kinds, of every creeping thing of the land after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive. Take for yourself of all food that is eaten, and gather it to you, and it will be for food for you and for them. Thus Noah did, according to all that the supreme authority mighty Creator commanded him, so he did. Genesis chapter 7. He exists said to Noah, Come you and all your house into the ark, because you I have seen right before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you will take to you by 7s, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female, also of birds of the heavens by 7s, male and female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the land, because yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the land 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made I will wipe away from the face of the land. Noah did according to all that he exists commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the land. Noah went in, and his sons and his woman and his sons' women with him, into the ark, because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts, and of beasts that are not clean, and of birds, and of everything that creeps upon the land. They went in 2 by 2 to Noah into the ark, male and female, as the supreme authority mighty Creator had commanded Noah. It happened after 7 days, that the waters of the flood were upon the land, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month. The same day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the heavens were opened. The rain was upon the land 40 days and 40 nights. In the same day Noah, and Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's woman, and the 3 women of his sons with them, entered into the ark, they, and every beast after its kind, and all cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the land after its kind, and every bird after its kind. They went into Noah into the ark, 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. They that went in male and female of all flesh, as the supreme authority mighty Creator had commanded him, and he exists shut him in. The flood was 40 days upon the land, the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it was lifted up above the land. The waters prevailed and increased greatly upon the land, and the ark went upon the face of the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the land, and all the high hills that were under the whole heavens were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. All flesh died that moved upon the land, both of birds, and of cattle, and of beasts, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the land, and every human, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. Every living substance was wiped away which was upon the face of the land, both human and cattle and creeping thing and the birds of the heavens, and they were wiped away from the land. And Noah only remained alive, and those that were with him in the ark. The waters prevailed upon the land 150 days. Genesis chapter 8. The supreme authority mighty Creator remembered Noah, and every living eternal life breath being, and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And the supreme authority mighty Creator caused a wind to pass over the land, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were stopped, and the rain from the heavens was restrained. The waters returned from off the land continually, and after the end of the 150 days the waters were abated. The ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. The waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. It happened at the end of 40 days, that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. He sent forth a raven, which went out, going and returning until the waters were dried up from off the land. He also sent forth the dove from him, to see if the waters had abated from off the face of the ground. The dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned to him into the ark, because the waters were upon the face of the whole land. Then he put forth his hand and took her, and pulled her into him into the ark. He stayed yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. The dove came into him in the evening, and look, in her mouth was an olive leaf freshly plucked. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the land. He waited yet another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which did not return again to him any more. It happened in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the land. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, the face of the ground was dry. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the land was dry. The Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, spoke to Noah, saying, Go out of the ark, you and your woman and your sons women with you. Bring out with you every living eternal life breath being that is with you, of all flesh, birds and cattle and every creeping thing that creeps upon the land, that they may multiply on the land and be fruitful and multiply upon the land. Noah went out, and his sons and his woman and his sons' women with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, whatever creeps upon the land, after their kinds, went out of the ark. Noah built an altar to he exists, and took of every clean beast and of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. He exists smelled the soothing aroma, and he exists said in his inner thinking center, I will not again curse the ground anymore for humankind's sake, because the imagination of the human inner thinking center is evil from youth. Neither will I again strike anymore every living thing, as I have done, while the land remains, seedtime and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will not cease. Genesis chapter 9. The Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the land. The fear of you and the dread of you will be upon every beast of the land, and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps upon the ground, and upon all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives will be food for you, even as the green herb I have given you everything. But flesh with its life, which is its blood, you will not eat. Surely your blood of your lives I will require. From the hand of every beast I will require it, and from the hand of every human's brother I will require the life of human. Whoever sheds human blood, by human will his blood be shed, because in the image of the Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, he made humankind. You be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the land and multiply in it. The Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, Look, I establish my binding agreement with you and with your seed after you, and with every living eternal life breath being that is with you, of the birds, of the cattle, and of every beast of the land with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the land. I will establish my binding agreement with you, neither will all flesh be cut off any more. By the waters of a flood, neither will there any more be a flood to destroy the land. The Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, said, This is the sign of the binding agreement, which I make between me and you and every living eternal life breath, being that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my bow in the cloud, and it will be for sign of a binding agreement between me and the land. It will happen when I bring a cloud over the land that the bow will be seen in the cloud. I will remember my binding agreement, which is between me and you and every living eternal life breath being of all flesh, and the waters will no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. The bow will be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting binding agreement between the Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, and every living eternal life breath, being of all flesh, that is upon the land. The Supreme Authority, Mighty Creator, said to Noah, This is the sign of the binding agreement, which I have established between me and all flesh, that is upon the land. The sons of Noah that went out of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and from them the whole land was spread abroad. Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and became drunk, and he was uncovered within his tent. Ham the father of Canaan saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brothers outside. Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward. and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. Noah woke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. He said, "Cursed be Canaan, a servant worker of servant workers will he be to his brothers." He said, "Blessed be he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Shem, and Canaan will be his servant worker." The supreme authority, mighty creator, will enlarge Japheth, and he will dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan will be his servant worker. Noah lived after the flood 350 years. All the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Genesis chapter 10. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the coastlands of the people nations divided in their lands, every one according to his language, according to their families, in their people nations. The sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Satar, Ramah, and Sateka. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the land. He was a mighty hunter before he exists, therefore it is said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before he exists. The beginning of his kingdom rule was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land he went to Assur, and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezen between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. Mizraim fathered Ludim, Anam, and Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, from whom came Philistin and Kephtorim. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, the Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgashite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, the Arvadite, the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward the families of the Canaanite were spread abroad. The border of the Canaanite was from Sidon as you come to Gerar, to Gaza as you go towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the sons of Ham according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands, in their people nations. To Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder children were born. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uzhol, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad fathered Selah, and Selah fathered Eber. To Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, because in his days the land was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almadad, Sheleph, Hazar, Mavith, Jerah, Adoram, Uzal, Diklah, Ubal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. Their dwelling was from Mesha as you go toward Sephar, the mountain of the east. These are the sons of Shem according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands according to their people nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah according to their generations, in their people nations, and by these were the people nations divided in the land after the flood. Genesis chapter 11. The whole land was of one language and of one speech. It happened as they traveled from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. They said one to another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. They said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower, whose top may reach to the heavens, and let us make ourselves a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole land." Eve exists came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of humankind built. He exists said, "Look, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they imagine to do. Come, let us go down." And they confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech. So he exists scattered them abroad from there upon the face of all the land, and they left off building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because he exists confused the language of all the land, and from there he exists scattered them abroad upon the face of all the land. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and fathered Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Shem lived after he fathered Arphaxad 500 years, and fathered sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years, and fathered Salah. Arphaxad lived after he fathered Salah 403 years, and fathered sons and daughters. Salah lived 30 years, and fathered Eber. Salah lived after he fathered Eber 403 years and fathered sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years and fathered Peleg. Eber lived after he fathered Peleg 430 years and fathered sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years and fathered Ru. Peleg lived after he fathered Ru 209 years and fathered sons and daughters. Ru lived 32 years and fathered Sarah. Ru lived after he fathered Sarah 207 years and fathered sons and daughters. Sarah lived 30 years and fathered Nahor. Sarah lived after he fathered Nahor 200 years and fathered sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and fathered Terah. Nahor lived after he fathered Terah 119 years and fathered sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years and fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah fathered Abram, Nahor, and Haran fathered Lot. Haran died before the face of Terah his father in the land of his birth in Ur of the Chaldees. Abram and Nahor took women. The name of Abram's woman was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's woman Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. Sarai was barren, she had no child. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law his son Abram's woman. And they went out with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran, and dwelt there. The days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Genesis chapter 12. Now he who exists had said to Abram, Go from your land and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great people nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse the one who curses you, and in you all families of the land will be blessed. So Abram went as he exists had spoken to him, and Lot went with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Abram took Sarai his woman, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the life-breath beings that they had acquired in Haran, and they went out to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. He exists appeared to Abram and said, To your seed I will give this land, and there he built an altar to he exists who appeared to him. He moved from there to a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east, and there he built an altar to he exists, and called on the name of he exists. Abram journeyed, going on still toward the Negev. There was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to stay there, because the famine was severe in the land. It happened, when he was come near to enter Egypt, that he said to Sarai his woman, Look now, I know that you are a woman beautiful in appearance. It will happen, when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, This is his woman, and they will kill me, but they will save you alive. Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and my life breath will live because of you. It happened that when Abram had come into Egypt, the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. The princes of Pharaoh saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. He treated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male servant workers, female donkeys, and camels. He struck Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's woman. Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your woman? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I might have taken her to me as a woman? Now therefore look, your woman, take her, and go your travel path. Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his woman, and all that he had. Genesis chapter 13. Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his woman, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the Negev. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. He went on his journeys from the Negev even to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of he exists. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. The land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, because their possessions were great, so that they could not dwell together. There was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land. Abram said to Lot, Please let there be no strife between thee and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, because we are brothers. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I ask you, from me. If you will go to the left, then I will go to the right. Or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before he exists, destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of he exists, like the land of Egypt, as you come to Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent toward Sodom. The men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and wrongdoers before he exists. He exists said to Abram after Lot had separated from him, Lift up now your eyes and look from the place where you are northward and southward and eastward and westward, because all the land which you see, to you will I give it, and to your seed forever. I will make your seed like the dust of the land, so that if a human can number the dust of the land, then will your seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in its length and in its width, because I will give it to you. Abram moved his tent and came and dwelt by the oaks of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built there an altar to he exists. Genesis chapter 14. It happened in the days of Amraphel king of Shinar, Arah king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of nations, that these made war with Berak king of Sodom, and Bersha king of Gomorrah, Shinab king of Admah, and Shemeber king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela which is Zor. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and struck the Rephaim in Asheroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shaphach-Kiriathim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, to El Paran, which is by the wilderness. They returned and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites that dwelt in Hazaz and Tamar. The king of Sodom went out, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela the same is Zor, and they joined battle with them in the valley of Siddim, with Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and with Tidal king of nations, and Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arah king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and those that remained fled to the mountain. They took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food and went their way. They took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. There came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, because he dwelt by the oaks of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. When Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them to Dan. He divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night, and struck them, and pursued them to Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also and the people. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's valley. Melchizedek king of Salem brought forth bread and wine, and he was serving leader of the Most High Supreme Authority Mighty Creator. He blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, possessor of heaven and land. Blessed be the Most High Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he gave him 1/10 of all. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people and take the goods to yourself. Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand. He exists, the Most High Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, possessor of heaven and land, that I will not take from a thread even to a sandal strap, and that I will not take anything that is yours, lest you say I have made Abram rich, except only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. Genesis chapter 15. After these things the word of he exists came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not fear, Abram, I am your shield and your exceedingly great reward. Abram said, Master Authority, he exists, what will you give me, seeing I go childless and the steward of my house? "Is this Eliezer of Damascus?" Abram said, "Look to me, you have given no seed, and one born in my house is my heir." Look, the word of he exists came to him, saying, "This will not be your heir, but he that will come out of your own body will be your heir." He brought him outside and said, "Look now toward heaven and count the stars, if you are able to count them." And he said to him, "So will your seed be." He believed in he exists, and he counted it to him for rightness. He said to him, "I am he exists who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it." He said, "Master Authority, he exists, how will I know that I will inherit it?" He said to him, "Take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." He took all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds he did not divide. When the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and look, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. He said to Abram, "Know certainly that your seed will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. Also that people, nation whom they will serve will I judge, and afterward they will come out with great substance. You will go to your fathers in peace, you will be buried in a good old age. In the 4th generation they will come here again, because the wrongdoing of the Amorites is not yet complete." It happened that, when the sun went down, and it was dark, look, a smoking furnace, and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. In that same day he exists cut a binding agreement with Abram, saying, "To your seed I have given this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenite and the Kenizzite and the Cadmonite, the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Rephaim, the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Girgashite and the Jebusite." Genesis chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's woman, bore him no children, and she had a female servant worker, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "Look, now he exists, has restrained me from bearing. I ask you, go into my female servant worker, it may be that I may obtain children by her." And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Sarai, Abram's woman, took Hagar, her female servant worker, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her man Abram to be his woman. He went into Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you, I have given my female servant worker into your embrace." And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. He exists, judge between me and you. Abram said to Sarai, "Look, your female servant worker is in your hand, do to her what is good in your eyes." And Sarai afflicted her, and she fled from her face. The messenger of he exists found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain on the travel path to Shur. He said, "Hagar, Sarai's female servant worker, from where have you come, and where will you go?" And she said, "I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai." The messenger of he exists said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hands." The messenger of he exists said to her, "I will multiply your seed exceedingly, so that it will not be numbered for multitude." The messenger of he exists said to her, "Look, you are with child, and will bear a son, and will call his name Ishmael, because he exists has heard your affliction. He will be a wild human, his hand will be against every human, and every human's hand against him, and he will dwell in the face of all his brothers." She called the name of he exists who spoke to her, "You are the supreme authority, mighty creator who sees." Because she said, "Have I also here seen him who sees me?" Therefore the well is called Bir Lahai Roi. Look, it is between Kadesh and Bird. Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bore Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Genesis chapter 17. When Abram was 99 years old, he exists appeared to Abram and said to him, "I am El Shaddai, walk before me and be complete. I will make my binding agreement between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly." Abram fell on his face, and the supreme authority, mighty creator, talked with him, saying, "As for me, look, my binding agreement is with you, and you will be a father of many people, nations. Neither will your name anymore be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham. Because a father of many people, nations have I made you. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make people nations of you, and king rulers will come out of you. I will establish my binding agreement between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for an everlasting binding agreement, to be the supreme authority, mighty Creator, to you and to your seed after you. I will give to you and to your seed after you the land of your travels, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. And I will be their supreme authority, mighty Creator. The supreme authority, mighty Creator, said to Abraham, you will keep my binding agreement there for you and your seed after you and their generations. This is my binding agreement, which you will keep between me and your seed after you. Every male among you will be circumcised. You will circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it will be a sign of the binding agreement between me and you. He that is 8 days old will be circumcised among you, every male throughout your generations. He that is born in the house or bought with money from any foreigner who is not of your seed. He that is born in your house and he that is bought with your money must be circumcised. And my binding agreement will be in your flesh for an everlasting binding agreement. The uncircumcised male whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that life breath, will be cut off from his people group. He has broken my binding agreement. The supreme authority, mighty Creator, said to Abraham, as for Sarai your woman, you will not call her name Sarai, but Sarah will be her name. I will bless her, and give you a son also from her. Yes, I will bless her, and she will become people, nations, king, rulers of people groups will be from her. Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his inner thinking center, will a child be born to him who is 100 years old, and will Sarah who is 90 years old bear? Abraham said to the supreme authority, mighty Creator, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. The supreme authority, mighty Creator, said, Sarah your woman will indeed bear you a son, and you will call his name Isaac. And I will establish my binding agreement with him for an everlasting binding agreement, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Look, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 rulers will he father, and I will make him a great people nation. But my binding agreement will I establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at the set time in the next year. He finished talking with him, and the supreme authority, mighty Creator, went up from Abraham. Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the same day, as the supreme authority, mighty Creator, had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the same day Abraham was circumcised, and Ishmael his son. All the men of his house born in the house and bought with money from the foreigner were circumcised with him. Genesis chapter 18. He exists appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the land. He said, my master authority, if now I have found favor in your eyes, please do not pass away from your servant worker. Let a little water, I ask you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. I will bring a morsel of bread and comfort your inner thinking center. Afterward you will pass on, because therefore you have come to your servant worker. And they said, do so as you have said. Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah, and said, make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf tender and good, and gave it to a young man, and he hurried to prepare it. He took buttermilk and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they ate. They said to him, where is Sarah your woman? And he said, look in the tent. He said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life. And look, Sarah your woman will have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in days, and it had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I have grown old will I have pleasure, my master authority being old also. He exists said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, will I indeed bear a child when I am old? Is anything too difficult? For he exists at the appointed time. I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah will have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I did not laugh, because she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. The men rose up from there and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on the travel path. He exists said, will I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, seeing that Abraham will surely become a great and mighty people nation, and all the people nations of the land will be blessed in him, because I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they will keep the travel path of he exists to do rightness and fair judgment, so that he exists may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. He exists said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their wrong is very grievous, I will go down now, and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it which has come to me. And if not, I will know. The men turned their faces from there and went toward Sodom. But Abraham still stood before he exists. Abraham came near and said, will you also destroy the right with the wicked? Perhaps there are 50 right within the city. Will you also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 right that are in it? Far be it from you to do after this manner, to slay the right with the wicked, and that the right should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the land do fair judgment? He exists said, if I find in Sodom 50 right within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Abraham answered and said, look now, I have taken upon me to speak to my master authority, though I am dust and ashes. Perhaps there will lack 5 of the 50 right. Will you destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 45, I will not destroy it. He spoke to him yet again and said, perhaps there will be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. He said, oh, let not my master authority be angry, and I will speak. Perhaps there will 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. He said, look now, I have taken upon me to speak to my master authority. Perhaps there will be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. He said, oh, let not my master authority be angry, and I will speak yet. But this once perhaps 10 will be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. He exists went his travel path as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Genesis chapter 19. There came 2 messengers to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the land. He said, look now, my master authorities, turn, and I ask you into your servant worker's house, and stay all night and wash your feet, and you will rise up early and go on your travel path. And they said, no, but we will stay in the street all night. He pressed upon them greatly, and they turned into him and entered into his house, and he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. They called to Lot and said to him, where are the men who came into you this night? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. Lot went out to them to the doorway and shut the door behind him. He said, I ask you, brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look now, I have 2 daughters, who have not known a man. Let me, I ask you, bring them out to you, and do to them as is good in your eyes. Only to these men do nothing, because therefore they have come under the shadow of my roof. They said, stand back. And they said, this one came in to stay, and he will be a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. The men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. They struck the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. The men said to Lot, have you here any besides son-in-law, and your sons and your daughters, and whatever you have in the city, bring them out of this place, because we will destroy this place, because the cry of them has grown great before the face of he exists, and he exists has sent us to destroy it. Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who married his daughters, and said, rise up, get you out of this place, because he exists will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked to his sons-in-law. When the morning arose, the messengers hurried Lot, saying, rise, take your woman and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the wrongdoing of the city. While he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his woman, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters. He exists, being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. It happened, when they had brought them outside, that he said, escape for your life, do not look behind you, neither stay in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest you be consumed. Lot said to them, oh, not so, my master authority. Look now, your servant worker has found favor in your eyes, and you have magnified your trust loyalty, which you have shown to me in saving my life breath. And and I cannot escape to the mountain lest some evil take me and I die. Look now, the city is near to flee to, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape there, is it not a little one, and my life breath will live. He said to him, Look, I have accepted you concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, because I cannot do anything until you arrive there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor. The sun had risen upon the land when Lot entered Zor. Then he exists, rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah sulfur and fire, from he exists out of the heavens. He overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. His woman looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham rose early in the morning to the place where he stood before he exists. He looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, and looked and saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. It happened when the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator destroyed the cities of the plain, that the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. Lot went up out of Zor, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, because he feared to dwell in Zor. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. The firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the land to come into us after the manner of all the land. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. They made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he did not know when she lay down nor when she arose. It happened on the next day, that the firstborn said to the younger, Look, I lay last night with my father, let us make him drink wine this night also, and go you in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. They made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down nor when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son, and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Ammi. The same is the father of the people group of Ammon to this day. Genesis chapter 20. Abraham journeyed from there toward the land of the Negev, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. Abraham said of Sarah his woman, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king ruler of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Look, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, because she is a man's woman. But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Master Authority, will you also slay a right people nation? Did he not say to me, She is my sister? And she herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my inner thinking center and innocence of my hands have I done this. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said to him in a dream, Yes, I know that you did this in the integrity of your inner thinking center, because I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not allow you to touch her. Now therefore restore the man's woman, because he is a speaker, and he will pray for you, and you will live. And if you do not restore her, know that you will surely die, you and all that are yours. Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servant workers, and told all these things in their ears, and the men were very afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said to him, What have you done to us? And how have I offended you, that you have brought on me and on my kingdom rule a great wrong? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done. Abimelech said to Abraham, What did you see that you have done this thing? Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator is not in this place, and they will kill me for my woman's sake. Yet indeed she is my sister, she is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my woman. It happened when the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, This is your kindness, which you will show to me at every place where we will come, say of me, He is my brother. Abimelech took sheep and oxen and male servant workers and female servant workers, and gave them to Abraham, and restored Sarah his woman to him. Abimelech said, Look, my land is before you dwell, where it is good in your eyes. To Sarah he said, Look, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Look, he is to you a covering of the eyes to all that are with you, and with all others. Thus she was corrected. Abraham prayed to the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, and the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator healed Abimelech and his woman and his female servant workers, and they bore children, because he exists had completely closed all the wombs of the house of Abimelech, because of Sarah Abraham's woman. Genesis chapter 21. He exists visited Sarah as he had said, and he exists did to Sarah as he had spoken. Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time of which the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator had spoken to him. Abraham called the name of his son that was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator has made me laugh so that all that hear will laugh with me." She said, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Because I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne to Abraham, mocking. Therefore she said to Abraham, "Cast out this female servant worker and her son, because the son of this female servant worker will not be heir with my son Isaac." The thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in your sight, because of the lad and because of your female servant worker, and all that Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. Because in Isaac will your seed be called. Also of the son of the female servant worker I will make a people nation, because he is your seed." Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away, and she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. The water in the skin was spent, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. She went and sat down opposite him a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot, because she said, "Let me not see the death of the child." And she sat opposite him and lifted up her voice and wept. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator heard the voice of a lad, and the messenger of the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Do not fear, because the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator has heard the voice of a lad where he is. Rise, lift up the lad and hold him in your hand, because I will make him a great people nation." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad drink. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a woman for him out of the land of Egypt. It happened at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, "The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me here, by the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done to you, you will do to me and to the land in which you have stayed." Abraham said, "I will swear." Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servant workers had violently taken away. Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done this thing, neither did you tell me, neither yet did I hear of it until today." Abraham took sheep and oxen, and gave them to Abimelech, and both of them cut a binding agreement. Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, "What mean these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves?" He said, "Because these 7 ewe lambs will you take from my hand, that they may be a testimony to me that I have dug this well." Therefore he called that place Beersheba, because they both of them swore. Thus they cut a binding agreement at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Phicol the commander of his army, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and called thereon the name of He exists, the everlasting Supreme Authority Mighty Creator. Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. Genesis 22:1. It happened after these things that the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator tested Abraham, and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Look, here I am." Genesis chapter 22. It happened after these things that Supreme Authority Mighty Creator did tempt Abraham, and said to him, "Abraham." And he said, "Look, here I am." He said, "Take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell you. Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and split the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went to the place of which the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey and I, and the lad will go over there and give great honor with joy and come again to you. Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they both went together. Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Look, here I am, my son. And he said, Look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. So they both went together. They came to the place which the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator had told him, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. The messenger of He exists called to him out of the heavens, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Look, here I am. He said, Do not lay your hand upon the lad, neither do anything to him, because now I know that you fear the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked behind him, a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham called the name of that place, He exists, will provide, as it is said to this day, in the mount of He exists it will be provided. The messenger of He exists called to Abraham out of the heavens the 2nd time. He said, By myself have I sworn, says He exists, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed will possess the gate of his enemies. In your seed will all the nations of the land be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. It happened after these things, that it was told Abraham, saying, Look, Milcah, she has also borne children to your brother Nahor, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel the father of Aram, Cheez, Tazo, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Rumah, she also bore Tebagaham, Thahash, and Maacah. Genesis chapter 23. Sarah was 127 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah. Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, the same as Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a traveler with you. Give me a possession of a burial place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master authority. You are a mighty ruler among us. Bury your dead in the choice of our burial places. None of us will withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the sons of Heth. He spoke with them, saying, If it is your inner thinking center, that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and speak for me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. For as much money as it is worth, he will give it to me for a possession of a burial place among you. Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master authority, hear me. The field I give you, and the cave that is in it I give it to you. In the presence of the sons of my people group I give it to you. Bury your dead. Abraham bowed himself before the people of the land. He spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, But if you will give it, I ask you, hear me. I will give the price of the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master authority, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? Bury therefore your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. The field of Ephron which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave, which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field that were in all the border around were made sure to Abraham for a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. After this Abraham buried Sarah his woman in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made sure to Abraham for a possession of a burial place by the sons of Heth. Genesis chapter 24. Abraham was old and well advanced in days, and he had blessed Abraham in all things. Abraham said to his servant worker, the elder of his house, who ruled over all that he had, "Put, I ask you, your hand under my thigh. I will make you swear by he exists, the supreme authority, mighty creator of heaven, and the supreme authority, mighty creator of a land, that you will not take a woman for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but you will go to my land and to my relatives and take a woman for my son Isaac." The servant worker said to him, "Perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I bring your son again to the land from where you came?" Abraham said to him, "Beware that you do not bring my son there again. He exists, the supreme authority, mighty creator of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and who swore to me, saying, to your seed I will give this land. He will send his messenger before you, and you will take a woman for my son from there. If the woman will not be willing to follow you, then you will be clear from this my oath, only do not bring my son there again." The servant worker put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master authority and swore to him concerning that matter. The servant worker took 10 camels of his master authority and departed, because all the goods of his master authority were in his hand, and he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. He made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of water at the time of evening, the time that women go out to draw water. He said, "He exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of my master authority Abraham, I ask you, send me good speed this day, and show trust loyalty to my master authority Abraham. Look, I stand here by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. Let it happen that the young woman to whom I will say, let down your jar, I ask you that I may drink, and she will say, drink. And I will give your camels drink also. Let the same be she that you have appointed for your servant worker Isaac. And by that I will know that you have shown trust loyalty to my master authority." It happened before he had finished speaking that, look, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the woman of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her jar upon her shoulder. The young woman was very beautiful to look upon, a virgin, neither had any man known her. And she went down to the well and filled her jar, and came up. The servant worker ran to meet her, and said, "Let me, I ask you, drink a little water from your jar." She said, "Drink, my master authority." And she hurried and let down her jar upon her hand, and gave him drink. When she had finished giving him drink, she said, "I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking." She hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, and ran again to the well to draw water, and drew for all his camels. The man, wondering at her, held his peace to know whether he who exists had made his travel path prosperous or not. It happened, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring of 1/2 shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 10 shekels weight of gold. He said, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, I ask you, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge?" She said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." She said moreover to him, "We have both straw and fodder enough, and room to lodge in." The man bowed down his head and gave great honor with joy to he exists. He said, "Blessed be he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of my master authority Abraham, who has not left destitute my master authority of his trust, loyalty, and his truth. Being in the travel path he exists, led me to the house of my master authority's brothers." The young woman ran and told those of her mother's house these things. Rebekah had a brother, and his name was Laban, and Laban ran out to the man to the well. It happened, when he saw the nose ring and bracelets upon his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, "Thus spoke the man to me," that he came to the man, and look, he stood by the camels at the well. He said, "Come, and you blessed of he exists, why stand you outside? Because I have prepared the house and room for the camels." The man came into the house, and he ungirded his camels, and gave straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the feet of the men that were with him. There was set food before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have told my errand. And he said, speak on. He said, I am Abraham's servant worker. He exists, has blessed my master authority greatly, and he has become great, and he has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and male servant workers and female servant workers and camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master authority's woman, bore a son to my master authority. When she was old, and to him he has given all that he has. My master authority made me swear, saying, you will not take a woman for my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. But you will go to my father's house and to my relatives and take a woman for my son. I said to my master authority, perhaps the woman will not follow me. He said to me, he exists, before whom I walk, will send his messenger with you and prosper your travel path, and you will take a woman for my son of my relatives and of my father's house. Then you will be clear from this my oath when you come to my relatives, and if they do not give her to you, you will be clear from my oath. I came this day to the well and said, he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of my master authority Abraham. If now you prosper my travel path, which I go, look, I stand by the well of water, and it will come to pass that when the virgin comes out to draw water, and I say to her, give me, I ask you, a little water of your jar to drink, and she say to me, both drink, and I will also draw. For your camels, let the same be the woman whom he exists has appointed out for my master authority's son. Before I had finished speaking, in my inner thinking center, look, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the well and drew water. And I said to her, let me drink, I ask you. She hurried and let down her jar from her shoulder and said, drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. And I put the nose ring upon her face and the bracelets upon her hands. I bowed down my head and gave great honor with joy to he exists, and blessed he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of my master authority Abraham, who had led me in the true travel path to take my master authority's brother's daughter for his son. Now, if you will deal with trust, loyalty, and truth with my master authority, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing proceeds from he exists. We cannot speak to you bad or good. Look, Rebekah is before you, take her and go and let her be your master authority's son's woman, as he exists has spoken. It happened, when Abraham's servant worker heard their words, that he bowed himself to the land before he exists. The servant worker brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. They ate and drank, he and the men that were with him, and stayed all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away to my master authority. Her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10 after that she will go. He said to them, do not hinder me, seeing he exists has prospered my travel path. Send me away, that I may go to my master authority. They said, we will call the young woman and ask her mouth. They called Rebekah and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. They sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse and Abraham's servant worker and his men. They blessed Rebekah and said to her, you are our sister. Become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gate of those who hate them. Rebekah rose and her maidens, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man, and the servant worker took Rebekah and went his travel path. Isaac came from the way of Beer-lahai-roi, because he dwelt in the land of the Negev. Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the evening time, and he lifted up his eyes and saw, and look, the camels were coming. Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel. She said to the servant worker, what man is this that walks in the field to meet us? And the servant worker said, it is my master authority. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself. The servant worker told Isaac all things that he had done. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his woman, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Genesis chapter 25. Abraham took another woman, and her name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan fathered Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashuram, Letishan, and Luman. The sons of Midian, Epher, Hanak, Abidah, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son while he yet lived eastward to the east land. These are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people group. Isaac and Ishmael his sons buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. The field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth, there Abraham was buried, and Sarah his woman. It happened after the death of Abraham that the supreme authority mighty Creator blessed Isaac his son, and Isaac dwelt by Beer Lahai Roi. Now these are the generations of Ishmael Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian Sarah's female servant worker bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael Nebajoth and Kedar Dbeel Mibsam, Mishma Massa, Hudder Timajeder Naphish and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their camps, 12 rulers according to their people nations. These are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people group. They dwelt from Havilah to Shur, that is before Egypt, as you go toward Assur, and he settled in the presence of all his brothers. These are the generations of Isaac Abraham's son. Abraham fathered Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah woman, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Isaac entreated, he exists for his woman, because she was barren, and he exists was entreated of him, and Rebekah his woman conceived. The children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire if he exists. He exists, said to her, 2 people nations are in your womb, and 2 people groups will be separated from your body, and the one people group will be stronger than the other people group, and the elder will serve the younger. When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, look, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. After that came his brother, and his hand held Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. The boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Jacob boiled stew, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Esau said to Jacob, Let me swallow, I ask you, some of that red stew, because I am faint. Therefore his name was called Edom. Jacob said, Sell me this day your birthright. Esau said, Look, I am about to die, and what profit will this birthright do to me? Jacob said, Swear to me this day, and he swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank and rose up and went his travel path. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Genesis chapter 26. There was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king, ruler of the Philistines, to Gerar. The exists appeared to him and said, Do not go down to Egypt, dwell in the land which I will tell you. Say in this land, and I will be with you, and bless you, because to you and to your seed I will give all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heavens, and will give to your seed all these lands, and in your seed will all the people nations of the land be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commands, my set rules, and my instruction law. Isaac dwelt in Gerar. The men of the place asked him about his woman, and he said, She is my sister, because he feared to say, She is my woman, lest the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was beautiful to look upon. It happened, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king, ruler of the Philistines, looked out through a window and saw, and look, Isaac was laughing with Rebekah his woman. Abimelech called Isaac and said, Look, certainly she is your woman, and how did you say she is my sister? And Isaac said to him, Because I said, lest I die because of her. Abimelech said, What is this you have done to us? One of the people might likely have lain with your woman, and you would have brought guilt upon us. Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that touches this man or his woman will surely be put to death. Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and he exists blessed him. The man became great and went forward and grew until he became very great. He had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great household. And the Philistines envied him. The Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servant workers had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and filled them with earth. Abimelech said to Isaac, Go from us, because you are much mightier than we. Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, because the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. Isaac's servant workers dug in the valley and found there a well of springing water. The herdsmen of Gerar strove with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, The water is ours, and he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. They dug another well and strove for that also, and he called the name of it Sitnah. He moved from there, and dug another well, and for that they did not strive, and he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, Because now he exists, has made room for us, and we will be fruitful in the land. He went up from there to Beersheba. He exists appeared to him the same night, and said, I am the supreme authority, mighty creator of Abraham your father. Do not fear, because I am with you, and will bless you, and multiply your seed for my servant worker Abraham's sake. He built an altar there, and called on the name of He exists, and pitched his tent there, and Isaac's servant workers dug a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahazath one of his friends, and Phicol the commander of his army. Isaac said to them, Why have you come to me, seeing you hate me, and have sent me away from you? They said, We saw certainly that He exists was with you, and we said, Let there now be an oath between us, even between us and you, and let us cut a binding agreement with you, that you will do us no harm, as we have not touched you, and as we have done to you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of He exists. He made them a feast, and they ate and drank. They rose up early in the morning, and swore one to another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. It happened the same day that Isaac's servant workers came and told him concerning the well which they had dug, and said to him, We have found water. He called it Sheba there, for the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Esau was 40 years old when he took Judith the daughter of Beeri the Hittite to be his woman, and Basemath the daughter of Elon the Hittite. They were a bitterness of inner thinking center to Isaac and to Rebekah. Genesis chapter 27. It happened that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his elder son, and said to him, My son. And he said to him, Look, here I am. He said, Look, now I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Now therefore take, I ask you, your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field, and take me some game. Make me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my life breath may bless you before I die. Rebekah heard when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for game and to bring it. Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, Look, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me game and make me savory food, that I may eat and bless you before he exists before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command you. Go now to the flock, and bring me from there 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory food for your father, such as he loves. You will bring it to your father, that he may eat, and that he may bless you before his death. Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father perhaps will feel me, and I will seem to him as a deceiver, and I will bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. His mother said to him, Upon me be your curse, my son, only obey my voice, and go bring them to me. He went and fetched them, and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory food such as his father loved. Rebekah took the choice garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob her younger son. She put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. She gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. He came to his father and said, My father. And he said, Look, here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau your firstborn. I have done according as you told me. Arise, I ask you, sit and eat of my game, that your life breath may bless me. Isaac said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator, brought it to me. Isaac said to Jacob, Come near, I ask you, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are my very son Esau or not. Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. He did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. He said, "Are you my very son Esau?" And he said, "I am." He said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, that my life breath may bless you." And he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. His father Isaac said to him, "Come near now, and kiss me, my son." He came near, and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his garments, and blessed him, and said, "Look, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which he exists has blessed. Therefore the supreme authority, mighty creator, give you of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the land and plenty of grain and wine. Let people groups serve you and people nations. Bow down to you, be ruler over your brothers, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone that curses you, and blessed be everyone that blesses you." It happened as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also made savory food and brought it to his father, and said to his father, "Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your life breath may bless me." Isaac his father said to him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I am your son, your firstborn Esau." Isaac trembled very greatly, and said, "Who then is he that has taken game and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before you came, and have blessed him, yes, and he will be blessed." When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceedingly bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me, even me also, my father." He said, "Your brother Cain with deceit, and has taken away your blessing." He said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? Because he has supplanted me these 2 times, he took away my birthright, and look, now he has taken away my blessing." And he said, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered and said to Esau, "Look, I have made him your ruler, and all his brothers I have given to him for servant workers, and with grain and wine I have sustained him, and what will I do now to you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Isaac his father answered and said to him, "Look, your dwelling will be the fatness of the land, and of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword will you live, and you will serve your brother, and it will happen when you will break loose that you will break his yoke from off your neck." Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father blessed him, and Esau said in his inner thinking center, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand, then I will kill my brother Jacob." These words of Esau her elder son were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said to him, "Look, your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you, intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise, flee to Laban my brother, to Haran. Stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turn away, until your brother's anger turn away from you, and he forget that which you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day?" Rebekah said to Isaac, "I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a woman of the daughters of Heth, such as these, which are the daughters of the land, what good will thy life do me?" Genesis chapter 28. Isaac called Jacob, and blessed him, and charged him, and said to him, "You will not take a woman from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Paddan Aram, to the house of Bethuel your mother's father, and take a woman from there of the daughters of Laban your mother's brother. The supreme authority, mighty creator, bless you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, that you may be a company of people groups. Give you the blessing of Abraham to you, and to your seed with you, that you may inherit the land of your travels, which the supreme authority, mighty creator, gave to Abraham." Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Paddan Aram, to Laban son of Bethuel the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, Jacob's and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Paddan Aram to take him a woman from there, and that as he blessed him he gave him a charge, saying, "You will not take a woman of the daughters of Canaan," and that Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Paddan Aram. Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan did not please Isaac his father, then went Esau to Ishmael, and took to the women which he had Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebajoth, to be his woman. Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. He came to a certain place, and stayed there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place, and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. He dreamed, and look, a ladder set up on the land, and the top of it reached to heaven, and look, the messengers of the supreme authority, mighty creator, ascending and descending on it. Look, he exists, stood above it, and said, I am he exists, the supreme authority, mighty creator of Abraham your father, and the supreme authority, mighty creator of Isaac the landlord, which you lie to you will I give it, and to your seed. Your seed will be as the dust of the land, and you will spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south, and in you and in your seed will all the families of the land be blessed. Look, I am with you, and will guard you in all places where you go, and will bring you again into this land, because I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken to you of. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely he exists is in this place, and I did not know it. He was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other but the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and this is the gate of heaven. Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillows and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. He called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was called Luz at the first. Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If the supreme authority, mighty creator, will be with me, and will guard me in this travel path that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then he exists, will be my supreme authority, mighty creator. The stone which I have set for a pillar will be the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and of all that you will give me I will surely give the tenth to you. Genesis chapter 29. Then Jacob went on his travel path and came into the land of the people of the east. He looked and saw a well in the field, and looked 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, because out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. All the flocks were gathered there, and they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in its place. Jacob said to them, My brothers, from where are you? And they said, From Haran are we. He said to them, Do you know Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. He said to them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And look, Rachel his daughter comes with the sheep. He said, Look, it is still high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered. Water the sheep and go feed them. They said, We cannot until all the flocks be gathered together, and until they roll the stone from the well's mouth, then we water the sheep. While he yet spoke with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, because she kept them. It happened when Jacob saw Rachel the daughter of Laban his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban his mother's brother. Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. It happened when Laban heard the news of Jacob his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. Laban said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he stayed with him the space of a month. Laban said to Jacob, Because you are my brother, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what will your wages be? Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were tender, but Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. Laban said, It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me. Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Jacob said to Laban, Give me my woman, because my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. It happened in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to him, and he went into her. Laban gave to Leah his daughter Zilpah his female servant worker to be her female servant worker. It happened in the morning that, look, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me? Laban said, It must not be done so in our place, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this also for the service, which you will serve with me yet another 7 years. Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to be his woman. Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his female servant worker to be her female servant worker. He went in also to Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet another 7 years. When he saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben. because she said, surely he exists, has looked upon my affliction, now therefore my man will love me. She conceived again and bore a son and said, because he exists, has heard that I was hated, he has therefore given me the son also, and she called his name Simon. She conceived again and bore a son and said, now this time will my man be joined to me, because I have borne him 3 sons, therefore his name was called Levi. She conceived again and bore a son, and she said, now will I give great honor with joy to he exists, therefore she called his name Judah, and she stopped bearing. Genesis chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said to Jacob, give me children or else I die. Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in the place of the supreme authority, mighty creator, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? She said, look, my female servant worker Bilhah, go into her, and she will bear upon my knees, that I also may obtain children by her. She gave him Bilhah, her female servant worker, as woman, and Jacob went into her. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel said, the supreme authority, mighty creator, has judged me, and has also heard my voice, and has given me the son, therefore she called his name Dan. Bilhah, Rachel's female servant worker, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed, and she called his name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah, her female servant worker, and gave her to Jacob as woman. Zilpah, Leah's female servant worker, bore Jacob a son. Leah said, a troop comes, and she called his name Gad. Zilpah, Leah's female servant worker, bore Jacob a second son. Leah said, happy am I, because the daughters will call me happy, and she called his name Asher. Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in field, and brought them to Leah his mother. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I ask you, of your son's mandrakes. She said to her, is it a small matter that you have taken my man, and would you take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes. Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, you must come into me, because surely I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. The supreme authority, mighty creator, listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob the 5th son. Leah said, the supreme authority, mighty creator, has given me my hire, because I gave my female servant worker to my man, and she called his name Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob the 6th son. Leah said, the supreme authority, mighty creator, has endowed me with a good dowry, now will my man dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. Afterward she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. The supreme authority, mighty creator, remembered Rachel, and the supreme authority, mighty creator, listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son, and said, the supreme authority, mighty creator, has taken away my reproach. She called his name Joseph, and said, he exists, will add to me another son. It happened, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said to Laban, send me away, that I may go to my own place and to my land. Give me my women and my children, for whom I have served you, and let me go, because you know my service which I have done for you. Laban said to him, I ask you if I have found favor in your eyes, stay, because I have learned by experience that he exists, has blessed me for your sake. He said, appoint me your wages, and I will give it. Jacob said to him, you know how I have served you, and how your cattle have been with me, because it was little which you had before I came, and it has increased to a multitude, and he exists, has blessed you since my coming, and now when will I provide for my own house also? He said, what will I give you? And Jacob said, you will not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep your flock. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted sheep, and every dark sheep among the lambs, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and such will be my wages. So my rightness will answer for me in time to come, when it will come for my wages before your face, every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and dark among the lambs, that will be counted stolen with me. Laban said, look, I would it might be according to your word. He removed the day the he-goats that were ring-streaked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had some white in it, and all the dark among the sheep, and gave them into the hand of his sons. He set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob took rods of green poplar and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and peeled white streaks in them, and made the white appear, which was in the rods. He set the rods which he had peeled before the flocks in the gutters in the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive. When they came to drink, the flocks conceived before the rods and brought forth ring-streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring-streaked and all the dark in the flock of Laban, and he put his own flocks by themselves, and did not put them to Laban's cattle. It happened, whenever the stronger cattle conceived, that Jacob laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he did not put them, and so the feeble were Laban's and the stronger Jacob's. The man increased exceedingly, and had much cattle, and female servant workers, and male servant workers, and camels and donkeys. Genesis chapter 31. He heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's has he gotten all this glory. Jacob saw the face of Laban, and look, it was not toward him as before. He exists, said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock. He said to them, I see your father's face, that it is not toward me as before. But the supreme authority, mighty creator of my father, has been with me. You know that with all my power I have served your father. Your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. But the supreme authority, mighty creator, did not allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled will be your wages, then all the cattle bore speckled. And if he said thus, the ring-streaked will be your hire, then all the cattle bore ring-streaked. Thus the supreme authority, mighty creator, has taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. It happened at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and look, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-streaked, speckled, and grizzled. The messenger of the supreme authority, mighty creator, spoke to me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, look, here I am. He said, lift up now your eyes and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-streaked, speckled, and grizzled. Because I have seen all that Laban does to you. I am the supreme authority, mighty creator of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you vowed a vow to me. Now arise, get out from this land, and return to the land of your birth. Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted by him strangers? Because he has sold us and has quite devoured also our money. Because all the riches which the supreme authority, mighty creator, has taken from our father, that is ours, and our children's. Now then, whatever the supreme authority, mighty creator, has said to you, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his women upon camels. He carried away all his cattle and all his goods, which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Paddan Aram, to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the household idols that were her father's. Jacob stole away unknown to Laban the Syrian, that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. It was told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob had fled. He took his brothers with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. The supreme authority, mighty creator, came to Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, Take heed that you do not speak to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brothers pitched in the mount of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, What have you done, that you have stolen away unknown to me, and carried away my daughters, as captives taken with the sword? Why did you flee away secretly and steal away from me, and did not tell me, that I might have sent you away with joy, and with songs, with tambourine, and with harp, and have not allowed me to kiss my sons and my daughters? You have now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the supreme authority, mighty creator of your father, spoke to me last night, saying, Take heed that you speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though you would need to be gone, because you longed greatly after your father's house, yet why have you stolen my supreme authority, mighty creator, idols? Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, because I said, Perhaps you would take by force your daughters from me. With whomsoever you find your supreme authority, mighty creator, idols, let him not lie before our brothers. Discern what is yours with me, and take it to you, because Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the 2 female servant workers' tents. But he did not find them. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but did not find them. She said to her father, Let it not displease my master authority that I cannot rise up before you, because the manner of women is upon me. And he searched, but did not find the household idols. Jacob was angry, and argued with Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my wrong step? What is my wrong that you have so hotly pursued after me? Whereas you have searched all my goods, what have you found of all your household stuff? Set it here before my brothers and your brothers, that they may judge between us both. This 20 years have I been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of your flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beasts I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it of my hand did you require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was in the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your cattle, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Except the supreme authority, mighty creator of my father, the supreme authority, mighty creator of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me. Surely you had sent me away now empty. The supreme authority, mighty creator, has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night. Laban answered and said to Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that you see is mine. And what can I do this day to these my daughters, or to their children which they have borne? Now therefore come you, let us cut a binding agreement high, and you, and let it be for testimony between me and you. Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. Jacob said to his brothers, Gather stones, and they took stones and made a heap, and they ate there upon the heap. Laban called it Jegar-Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and you. This day therefore was the name of it called Galeed. And Mizpah, because he said, He exists watch between me and you, when we are absent one from another. If you will afflict my daughters, or if you will take other women besides my daughters, no man is with us. See, the supreme authority, mighty creator, is witness between me and you. Laban said to Jacob, Look this heap, and look this pillar, which I have cast between me and you. This heap is witness, and this pillar is witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and that you will not pass over this heap and this pillar to me for harm. The supreme authority, mighty creator of Abraham, and the supreme authority, mighty creator of Nahor, the supreme authority, mighty creator of their father, judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brothers to eat bread, and they ate bread and stayed all night in the mount. Early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them, and Laban departed and returned to his place. Genesis chapter 32. Jacob went on his travel path, and the messengers of the supreme authority, mighty creator, met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, This is the supreme authority, mighty creator's camp. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, to the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He commanded them, saying, Thus will you speak to my master authority Esau, your servant worker. Jacob says, Thus I have stayed with Laban and remained there until now. I have oxen and donkeys, flocks, and male servant workers and female servant workers, and I have sent to tell my master authority, that I may find favor in your sight. The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to your brother Esau, and also he comes to meet you, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels, into 2 companies. He said, If Esau come to the one company and strike it, then the other company which is left will escape. Jacob said, O supreme authority, mighty creator of my father Abraham, and supreme authority, mighty creator of my father Isaac, he exists, which said to me, Return to your country and to your relatives, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy of the least of all the trust, loyalties, and of all the truths which you have shown to your servant worker, because with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I have become 2 companies. Deliver me, I pray you, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, because I fear him, lest he will come and strike me and the mother with the children. You said, I will surely do you good, and make your seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. He stayed there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she-goats and 20 he-goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 she-donkeys and 10 foals. He delivered them into the hand of his servant workers, every drove by themselves, and said to his servant workers, pass over before me, and put a space between drove and drove. He commanded the foremost, saying, when Esau my brother meets you and asks you, saying, whose are you, and where do you go, and whose are these before you? Then you will say, they are your servant worker Jacob's. It is a present sent to my master authority Esau. And look, he also is behind us. So he commanded the second and the third and all that followed the droves, saying, on this manner you will speak to Esau when you find him. You will say, moreover, look, your servant worker Jacob is behind us, because he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face, perhaps he will accept my face. So went the present over before him, and himself stayed that night in the company. He rose up that night, and took his 2 women and his 2 female servant workers and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. He took them and sent them over the stream, and sent over that he had. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. He said, let me go, because the day breaks. And he said, I will not let you go except you bless me. He said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. He said, your name will be called no more Jacob, but Israel, because as a ruler have you striven with the supreme authority, mighty creator, and with man, and have prevailed. Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I ask you your name. And he said, why is it that you ask after my name? And he blessed him there. Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, because I have seen the supreme authority, mighty creator, face to face, and my life breath is preserved. As he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he limped upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh to this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh and the sinew that shrank. Genesis chapter 33. Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, Esau came, and with him 400 men, and he divided the children to Leah and to Rachel and to the 2 female servant workers. He put the female servant workers and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. He passed over before them, and bowed himself to the land 7 times until he came near to his brother. Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. He lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children, and said, who are those with you? And he said, the children which the supreme authority, mighty creator, has graciously given your servant worker. Then the female servant workers came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves, and after came Joseph near, and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. He said, what mean you by all this drove which I met? And he said, these are to find favor in the sight of my master authority. Esau said, I have enough, my brother, keep that you have to yourself. Jacob said, no, I ask you, if now I have found favor in your sight, then receive my present at my hand, because therefore I have seen your face, as though I had seen the face of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and you were pleased with me. Take, I ask you, my blessing that is brought to you, because the supreme authority, mighty creator, has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. He said, let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before you. Jacob said to him, my master authority knows that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me, and if men should overdrive them, one day all the flock will die. Let my master authority, I ask you, pass over before his servant worker, and I will lead on softly according as the cattle that goes before me, and the children be able to endure until I come to my master authority to Seir. Esau said, let me now leave with you some of the folk that are with me. And he said, what need it? Let me find favor in the sight of my master authority. So Esau returned that day on his travel path to Seir. Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house, and made booths for his cattle there, for the name of the place is called Succoth. Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. He bought a parcel of a field, where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. He erected there an altar, and called it El Elohe Israel. Genesis chapter 34. Dinah the daughter of Leah, which she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. When Shechem the son of Hamor the Hivite ruler of the land saw her, he took her and lay with her and afflicted her. His life breath clung to Dinah the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman and spoke kindly to the young woman. Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, Get me this young woman for woman. Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they came. Hamor the father of Shechem went out to Jacob to commune with him. The sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men were grieved, and they were very angry, because he had done folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. Hamor spoke with them, saying, The life breath of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. I ask you, give her him for woman. Make marriages with us, give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to you. You will dwell with us, and the land will be before you. Dwell and trade in it, and get possessions in it. Shechem said to her father and to her brothers, Let me find favor in your eyes, and what you will say to me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as you will say to me. But give me the young woman for woman. The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, Because he had defiled Dinah their sister, they said to them, We cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, because that were a reproach to us. But in this will we consent to you, if you will be as we are, that every male of you be circumcised. Then will we give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people group. But if you will not listen to us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. Their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. The young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of their city, and spoke with the men of their city, saying, These men are peaceable with us, therefore let them dwell in the land, and trade in it, because the land, look, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters for us for women, and let us give them our daughters. Only in this will the men consent to dwell with us, to be one people group. If every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised, will not their cattle and their substance, and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent to them, and they will dwell with us. To Hamor and to Shechem his son listened all that went out of the gate of his city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. It happened on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain, and plundered the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, and their oxen, and their donkeys, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field. All their wealth, and all their little ones, and their women they took captive, and plundered, even all that was in the house. Jacob said to Simon and Levi, You have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they will gather themselves together against me, and strike me, and I will be destroyed, I and my house. They said, Should he deal with our sister as with a prostitute? Genesis chapter 35. The Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, said to Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar to the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, that appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. Jacob said to his household and to all that were with him, Put away the foreign, Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, idols that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments. Let us arise, and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar to the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the travel path which I went. They gave to Jacob all the foreign Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, idols which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. They journeyed, and the terror of the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, was upon the cities that were around them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, that is Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. He built there an altar, and called the place El Bethel, because there the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Allen-Bacuth. The Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, appeared to Jacob again when he came out of Paddan Aram and blessed him, the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said to him, "Your name is Jacob, your name will not be called any more Jacob, but Israel will be your name," and he called his name Israel. The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator said to him, "I am El Shaddai, be fruitful and multiply, a people nation, and a company of people nations will be from you, and king rulers will come out of your loins. The land which I gave Abraham and Isaac to you I will give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land." The Supreme Authority Mighty Creator went up from him in the place where he talked with him. Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering upon it, and he poured oil upon it. Jacob called the name of the place where the Supreme Authority Mighty Creator spoke with him Bethel. They journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath, and Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. It happened when she was in hard labor that the midwife said to her, "Do not fear, because you will have this son also." It happened as her life breath was departing, because she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. Rachel died and was buried in the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. Jacob set a pillar upon her grave, that is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond the tower of Eder. It happened, while Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah his father's concubine. And Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's female servant worker, Dan and Naphtali. The sons of Zilpah, Leah's female servant worker, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Paddan Aram. Jacob came to Isaac his father to Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac stayed. The days of Isaac were 180 years. Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people group, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Genesis chapter 36. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his women of the daughters of Canaan, Adah the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah the daughter of Anna the daughter of Zibon the Hivite, and Basemath Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. Adah bore to Esau Eliphaz, and Basemath bore Reuel. Aholibamah bore Jush and Jelam and Korah. These are the sons of Esau which were born to him in the land of Canaan. Esau took his women, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he had gotten in the land of Canaan, and went into a country away from the face of his brother Jacob, because their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land in which they were travelers could not bear them, because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau was Edom. These are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz the son of Adah, the woman of Esau; Reuel the son of Basemath, the woman of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's woman. These are the sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Basemath, Esau's woman. These were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibon, Esau's woman, and she bore to Esau Jush, and Jelam, and Korah. These were ruler chiefs of the sons of Esau. The sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, ruler chief; Teman, ruler chief; Omar, ruler chief; Zepho, ruler chief; Kenaz, ruler chief; Korah, ruler chief; Gatam, ruler chief; Amalek. These are the ruler chiefs that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. These are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son, ruler chief; Nahath, ruler chief; Zerah, ruler chief; Shammah, ruler chief; Mizah. These are the ruler chiefs that came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Basemath, Esau's woman. These are the sons of Aholibamah, Esau's woman, ruler chief; Jush, ruler chief; Jelam, ruler chief; Korah. These were the ruler chiefs that came of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, Esau's woman. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their ruler chiefs. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, who inhabited the land: Lotan, Shobal, Zibon, Anna, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the ruler chiefs of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. The children of Lotan were Hori and Hemam, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. The children of Shobal were Ulvan, Manahath, Ibal, Shepho, and Alam. These are the children of Zibon, both Ajith and Anna. This was that Anna that found the hot springs in the wilderness, as he fed the donkeys of Zibon his father. The children of Anna were Dishon and Aholibamah the daughter of Anna. These are the children of Dishon, Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Cheran. The children of Ezer were Bilhan, Zavan, and Akan. The children of Dishan were Uz and Aaron. These are the ruler chiefs that came of the Horites, ruler chief Latan, ruler chief Shobal, ruler chief Zibon, ruler chief Anna, ruler chief Dishan, ruler chief Ezer, ruler chief Dishan. These are the ruler chiefs that came of the Horites among their ruler chiefs in the land of Seir. These are the king rulers that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king ruler over the children of Israel. Bela the son of Beer reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. Bela died, and Jobab the son of Zerah of Bozrah reigned in his place. Jobab died, and Husham of the land of the Temanites reigned in his place. Husham died, and Hadad the son of Bedad, who struck Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his place, and the name of his city was Avoth. Hadad died, and Samlah of Masrekah reigned in his place. Samlah died, and Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his place. Saul died, and Balhanan the son of Achbor reigned in his place. Balhanan the son of Achbor died, and Hadar reigned in his place, and the name of his city was Pal, and his woman's name was Mehetabel the daughter of Matred the daughter of Mezhab. These are the names of the ruler chiefs that came of Esau according to their families after their places. By their names: ruler chief Timnah, ruler chief Alva, ruler chief Jetheth, ruler chief Aholibamah, ruler chief Elah, ruler chief Pinon, ruler chief Kenaz, ruler chief Teman, ruler chief Midzar, ruler chief Magdiel, ruler chief Aram. These are the ruler chiefs of Edom according to their dwellings in the land of their possession. He is Esau the father of the Edomites. Genesis chapter 37. Jacob dwelt in the land in which his father was a traveler in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah his father's women. And Joseph brought to his father the evil report. Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brothers, and they hated him yet the more. He said to them, "Here, I ask you this dream which I have dreamed. Look, we were binding sheaves in the field, and look, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and look, your sheaves stood around and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Will you indeed reign over us, or will you indeed have rule over us?" And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. He dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brothers, and said, "Look, I have dreamed a dream more, and look, the sun and the moon and 11 stars bow down to me." He told it to his father and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Will I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow ourselves to you to the land?" His brothers envied him, but his father kept the saying. His brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. Israel said to Joseph, "Do not your brothers feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them." And he said to him, "Look, here I am." He said to him, "Go, I ask you, see whether it is well with your brothers, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again." So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. A certain man found him, and look, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What seek you?" He said, "I seek my brothers. Tell me, I ask you, where they feed their flocks." The man said, "They have departed from here, because I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" And Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Dothan. When they saw him afar off, even before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. They said one to another, "Look, this dreamer comes. Come now, therefore, let us kill him, and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beast has devoured him, and we will see what will become of his dreams." Reuben heard it and delivered him out of their hands, and said, "Let us not kill him." Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again." It happened, when Joseph had come to his brothers, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors, that was on him. They took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. They sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and look, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spices and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, because he is our brother and our flesh. And his brothers listened. Then there passed by Midianite merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. Reuben returned to the pit, and look, Joseph was not in the pit, and he tore his clothes. He returned to his brothers and said, the child is not, and I, where will I go? They took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. They sent the coat of many colors and brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Know now whether it is your son's coat or not. He knew it and said, it is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt torn in pieces. Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth upon his waist and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, because I will go down to the grave to my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. The Midianites sold him into Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and ruler chief of the guard. Genesis chapter 38. It happened at that time that Judah went down from his brothers and turned into a certain Adullamite whose name was Hurrah. Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he took her and went into her. She conceived and bore a son, and he called his name She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. She yet again conceived and bore a son, and called his name Shelah, and he was at Sheol when she bore him. Judah took a woman for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. Judah's firstborn was wicked in the eyes of Exists, and Exists killed him. Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's woman, and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her, and raise up seed to your brother. Onan knew that the seed would not be his, and it happened when he went into his brother's woman, that he spilled it on the land, lest he should give seed to his brother. The thing which he did was evil in the eyes of Exists, and he killed him also. Then Judah said to Tamar his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at your father's house until Shelah my son is grown, because he said, lest perhaps he die also as his brothers did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. In process of time the daughter of Shua, Judah's woman, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hurrah the Adullamite. It was told Tamar, saying, look, your father-in-law goes up to Timnath to shear his sheep. She removed her widow's garments from her, and covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which is by the way to Timnath, because she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as woman. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a prostitute, because she had covered her face. He turned to her by the way, and said, go to, I ask you, let me come into you, because he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what will you give me that you may come into me? He said, I will send you a kid from the flock. And she said, will you give me a pledge until you send it? He said, what pledge will I give you? And she said, your signet, and your cord, and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave them to her, and went into her, and she conceived by him. She arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive the pledge from the woman's hand, but he did not find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the set-apart house prostitute that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no set-apart house prostitute in this place. He returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no set-apart house prostitute in this place. Judah said, let her take them to herself, lest we be shamed. Look, I sent this kid, and you have not found her. It happened about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law has acted as a prostitute, and also look, she is with child by prostitution. And Judah said, bring her out, and let her be burned. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are I am with child. And she said, discern, I ask you, whose are these, the signet, and the cords, and the staff? Judah acknowledged them, and said, she has been more right than I, because I did not give her to Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. It happened in the time of her travail that, look, twins were in her womb. It happened when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, "This came out first." It happened as he drew back his hand that look, his brother came out. And she said, "How have you broken forth? This breach be upon you." Therefore his name was called Perez. Afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Genesis chapter 39. Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, ruler, chief of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the hand of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down there. He exists was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master Authority the Egyptian. His master Authority saw that he exists was with him, and that he exists made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Joseph found favor in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he put into his hand. It happened from the time that he made him overseer in his house, and over all that he exists, blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of he exists was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. He left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know anything he had except the bread which he ate. And Joseph was beautiful in form and appearance. It happened after these things that his master Authority's woman cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said to his master Authority's woman, "Look, my master Authority does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither has he kept back anything from me except you. Because you are his woman, how then can I do this great wickedness, and wrong against the supreme authority, mighty Creator?" It happened as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not listen to her to lie by her, or to be with her. It happened about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there inside. She caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got himself outside. It happened when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand, and fled outside, she called to the men of her house, and spoke to them, saying, "Look, he has brought in a Hebrew to mock us. He came into me to lie with me." And I cried with a loud voice. It happened when he heard that I lifted up my voice, and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled, and got himself outside. She laid up his garment by her until his master Authority came home. She spoke to him according to these words, saying, "The Hebrew servant worker, which you have brought to us, came in to me to mock me." It happened as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me, and fled outside. It happened when his master Authority heard the words of his woman, which she spoke to him, saying, "After this manner did your servant worker to me," that his anger was kindled. Joseph's master Authority took him, and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But he exists was with Joseph, and showed trust loyalty to him, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. The keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison did not look to anything that was under his hand, because he exists was with him, and that which he did he exists made it to prosper. Genesis chapter 40. It happened after these things that the cupbearer of the king ruler of Egypt and his baker had offended their master Authority, the king ruler of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry against his two officers, against the chief of the cupbearers and against the chief of the bakers. He put them in custody in the house of the ruler chief of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. The ruler chief of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in custody. They dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the cupbearer and the baker of the king ruler of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. Joseph came into them in the morning, and looked upon them, and saw that they were sad. He asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the custody of his master Authority's house, saying, "Why do your faces look sad today?" They said to him, "We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it." And Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to the supreme authority, mighty Creator? Tell me them, I ask you." The chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, "In my dream, look, a vine was before me. In the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days will Pharaoh lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will give Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner when you were his cupbearer. But remember me when it will be well with you, and show trust, loyalty, I ask you to me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house, because indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the pit." When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, "I also was in my dream, and look, I had 3 white baskets upon my head. In the uppermost basket there was of all manner of baked foods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket upon my head." Joseph answered and said, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days will Pharaoh lift up your head from off you, and will hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from off you." It happened the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servant workers, and he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and of the chief baker among his servant workers. He restored the chief cupbearer to his cupbearing again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Genesis chapter 41. It happened at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and look, he stood by the river. Look, there came up out of the river 7 cattle, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. Look, 7 other cattle came up after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean-fleshed, and stood by the other cattle upon the brink of the river. The ill-favored and lean-fleshed cattle ate up the 7 well-favored and fat cattle. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamed the 2nd time, and look, 7 ears of grain came up upon one stalk, rank and good. Look, 7 thin ears blasted with the east wind sprang up after them. The 7 thin ears devoured the 7 rank and full ears, and Pharaoh awoke, and look, it was a dream. It happened in the morning that his life breath was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men of it, and Pharaoh told them his dream. But there was none that could interpret them to Pharaoh. Then spoke the chief cupbearer to Pharaoh, saying, "I remember my faults this day." Pharaoh was angry with his servant workers, and put me in custody in the house of the ruler chief of the guard, both me and the chief baker. We dreamed a dream, and one night I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. There was with us a young man, a Hebrew servant worker, to the ruler chief of the guard. And we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams, to each man according to his dream he interpreted. It happened as he interpreted to us, so it was me he restored to my office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his clothing, and came in to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it, and I have heard say of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it." Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, "It is not in me. The supreme authority, mighty creator, will give Pharaoh an answer of peace." Pharaoh said to Joseph, "In my dream, look, I stood upon the bank of the river. Look, there came up out of the river 7 cattle, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. Look, 7 other cattle came up after them, poor and very ill-favored, and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. The lean and ill-favored cattle ate up the first 7 fat cattle. When they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I awoke. I saw in my dream, and look, 7 ears came up in one stalk, full and good. Look, 7 ears withered, thin and blasted, with the east wind sprang up after them. The thin ears devoured the 7 good ears, and I told this to the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. Joseph said to Pharaoh, "The dream of Pharaoh is one. The supreme authority, mighty creator, has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cattle are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. The 7 thin and ill-favored cattle that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind will be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. What the supreme authority, mighty creator, is about to do, he shows to Pharaoh. Look, there come 7 years of great abundance throughout all the land of Egypt. There will arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will consume the land. The abundance will not be known in the land, because of that famine following. because it will be very grievous, for that the dream was doubled to Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by the supreme authority mighty Creator, and the supreme authority mighty Creator will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint overseers over the land, and take the 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years. Let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. That food will be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine which will be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. The thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servant workers. Pharaoh said to his servant workers, Can we find such a one as this, a man in whom is the creative breath of the supreme authority mighty Creator? Pharaoh said to Joseph, Because the supreme authority mighty Creator has shown you all this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. You will be over my house, and according to your word will all my people group be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and clothed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. He made him ride in the 2nd chariot which he had, and they cried before him bow the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without you will no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath-Paneah, and he gave him as woman Asenath the daughter of Potiphar, serving leader of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh king ruler of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt. In the 7 plentiful years the land brought forth abundantly. He gathered up all the food of the 7 years, which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities, the food of the field, which was around every city he laid up in it. Joseph gathered grain as the sand of the sea very much, until he stopped counting, because it was without number. To Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, which Asenath the daughter of Potiphar, serving leader of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, because the supreme authority mighty Creator has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. The name of the second called he Ephraim, because the supreme authority mighty Creator has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. The 7 years of abundance that was in the land of Egypt were ended. The 7 years of famine began to come according as Joseph had said, and the famine was in all lands. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread. When all the land of Egypt was famished, the people group cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, Go to Joseph, what he says to you do. The famine was over all the face of the land, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Egyptians. And the famine grew strong in the land of Egypt. All countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy grain, because the famine was so strong in all lands. Genesis chapter 42. When Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, Why do you look one upon another? He said, Look, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there, and buy for us from there, that we may live and not die. Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother Jacob, did not send with his brothers, because he said, Lest perhaps harm come to him. The sons of Israel came to buy among those that came, because the famine was in the land of Canaan. Joseph was the ruler over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people group of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the land. Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but made himself strange to them, and spoke roughly to them. And he said to them, From where do you come? And they said, From the land of Canaan, to buy food. Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered the dreams which he dreamed of them, and said to them, You were spies to see the nakedness of the land you were come. They said to him, No, my master authority, but to buy food are your servant workers come. We are all one man's sons, we are true men, your servant workers are no spies. He said to them, No, but to see the nakedness of the land you are come. They said, Your servant workers are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan, and look, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not. Joseph said to them, That is it that I spoke to you, saying, You are spies. By this you will be proved by the life of Pharaoh. You will not go forth from here except your youngest brother come here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother, and you will be kept in prison, that your words may be proved whether there be truth in you or else. By the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. He put them all together into custody 3 days. Joseph said to them, The third day this Jew went alive, because I fear the supreme authority, mighty Creator. If you are true men, let one of your brothers be bound in the house of your prison. Go, you carry grain for the famine of your houses. But bring your youngest brother to me, so will your words be verified, and you will not die. And they did so. They said one to another, We are truly guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his life breath when he begged us, and we would not hear, therefore this distress has come upon us. Reuben answered them, saying, Did I not speak to you, saying, Do not wrong against the child? And you would not hear, therefore look, also his blood is required. They did not know that Joseph understood them, because he spoke to them by an interpreter. He turned himself about from them and wept, and returned to them again and spoke to them, and took from them Simon and bound him before their eyes. Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with grain, and to restore every man's money into his sack, and to give them provision for the travel path. And thus did he to them. They loaded their donkeys with the grain and departed from there. As one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder in the lodging place, he saw his money, because look, it was in his sack's mouth. He said to his brothers, My money is restored, and look, it is even in my sack. And their inner thinking center failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that the supreme authority, mighty Creator, has done to us? They came to Jacob their father to the land of Canaan, and told him all that had happened to them, saying, The man who is the ruler of the land spoke roughly to us, and took us for spies of the country. We said to him, We are true men, we are no spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. The man, the ruler of the country, said to us, By this I will know that you are true men. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and go your travel path. Bring your youngest brother to me, then will I know that you are no spies, but that you are true men. So will I deliver you your brother, and you will trade in the land. It happened as they emptied their sacks, that look, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when both they and their father saw the bundles of money, they were afraid. Jacob their father said to them, Have you bereaved of my children? Joseph is not, and Simon is not, and you will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. Reuben spoke to his father, saying, Kill my 2 sons. If I do not bring him to you, deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to you again. He said, My son will not go down with you, because his brother is dead, and he is left alone. Harm befall him by the travel path in which you go. Then you will bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Genesis chapter 43. The famine was severe in the land. It happened, when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said to them, Go again, buy us a little food. Judah spoke to him, saying, The man solemnly warned us, saying, You will not see my face, except your brother be with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. Because the man said to us, You will not see my face, except your brother be with you. Israel said, Why did you deal so badly with me as to tell the man whether you had yet a brother? They said, The man asked us directly of our state and of our relatives, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have you another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? Judah said to Israel, his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him from my hand. Will you require him, if I do not bring him to you and set him before you? Then let me bear the blame forever. Because except we had lingered, surely now we had returned the second time. Their father Israel said to them, If it must be so, now do this: take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the manna present, a little balm, and a little honey, spices, and myrrh, nuts, and almonds. Take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of your sacks, carry it again in your hand. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother, arise, go again to the man. El Shaddai give you favor. before the man, that he may send away your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. The men took that present, and they took double money in their hand and Benjamin, and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, Bring these men home and slaughter and make ready, because these men will dine with me at noon. The man did as Joseph commanded, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. The men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, Because of the money that was returned in our sacks the first time are we brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for servant workers and our donkeys. They came near to the ruler of Joseph's house, and spoke to him at the door of the house. They said, O my master authority, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. It happened, when we came to the lodging place, that we opened our sacks, and look, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. And we have brought it again in our hand. Other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. He said, Peace be to you. Do not fear your supreme authority, mighty creator, and the supreme authority, mighty creator of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simon out to them. The man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet. And he gave their donkeys fodder. They made ready the present, for Joseph came at noon, because they heard that they would eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the land. He asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he yet alive? They answered, Your servant worker, our father, is well, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made obeisance. He lifted up his eyes, and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me? And he said, The supreme authority, mighty creator, be gracious to you, my son. Joseph hurried, because his inner thinking center yearned upon his brother, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into his chamber, and wept there. He washed his face, and went out, and refrained himself, and said, Set on bread. They set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, because that is an abomination to the Egyptians. They sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. He took portions to them from before him. But Benjamin's portion was 5 times so much as any of theirs, and they drank and were merry with him. Genesis chapter 44. He commanded the ruler of his house, saying, Fill the men's sacks with food as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. Put my cup, the silver cup, in the sack's mouth of the youngest, and his grain money. And he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. When they had gone out of the city, and were not yet far off, Joseph said to the ruler of his house, Rise up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you rewarded evil for good? Is not this it in which my master authority drinks, and by which indeed he divines you have done evil in so doing? He overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. They said to him, Why says my master authority these words? Far be it from your servant workers that we should do according to this thing. Look, the money which we found in our sacks' mouths we brought again to you out of the land of Canaan. How then should we steal out of your master authority's house silver or gold? With whomsoever of your servant workers it be found, both let him die, and we also will be my master authority's servant workers. He said, Now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found will be my servant worker, and you will be blameless. Then they hurried, every man lowered his sack to the land, and opened every man his sack. He searched and began at the eldest and left at the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes and loaded every man his donkey, and returned to the city. Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, because he was yet there, and they fell before him on the land. Joseph said to them, What deed is this that you have done? Do you not know that such a man as I can certainly divine? Judah said, What will we say to my master authority? What will we speak? Or how will we clear ourselves? The supreme authority, mighty creator, has found out the wrongdoing of your servant workers. Look, we are my master authority's servant workers, both we and he also with whom the cup is found. He said, Far be it from me that I should do so. The man whose hand the cup is found, he will be my servant worker, and as for you, go off in peace to your father." Then Judah came near to him and said, "O my master authority, let your servant worker, I pray you, speak a word in my master authority's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant worker, because you are even as Pharaoh." My master authority asked his servant workers, saying, "Have you a father or a brother?" We said to my master authority, "We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, and his brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother, and his father loves him." You said to your servant workers, "Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes upon him." We said to my master authority, "The lad cannot leave his father, because if he should leave his father would die." You said to your servant workers, "Except your youngest brother come down with you, you will see my face no more." It happened, when we came up to your servant worker, my father, we told him the words of my master authority. Our father said, "Go again, buy us a little food." We said, "We cannot go down. If our youngest brother be with us, then we will go down, because we may not see the man's face except our youngest brother be with us." Your servant worker, my father, said to us, "You know that my woman bore me 2 sons. The one went out from me, and I said, Surely he is torn in pieces, and I saw him not since. If you take this also from me, and harm befall him, you will bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I come to your servant worker, my father, and the lad is not with us, seeing that his life breath is bound up in the lad's life breath, it will happen when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die, and your servant workers will bring down the gray hairs of your servant worker, our father, with sorrow to the grave. Because your servant worker became surety for the lad to my father, saying, If I do not bring him to you, then I will bear the blame to my father forever. Now therefore I ask you, let your servant worker remain instead of the lad, a servant worker to my master authority, and let the lad go up with his brothers. Because how will I go up to my father, and the lad not be with me, lest perhaps I see the evil that will come upon my father? Genesis chapter 45. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, Cause every man to go out from me, and there stood no man with him. While Joseph made himself known to his brothers, he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph, does my father yet live? And his brothers could not answer him, because they were troubled at his presence. Joseph said to his brothers, Come near to me, I ask you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now therefore do not be grieved nor angry with yourselves that you sold me here, because the supreme authority, mighty Creator, sent me before you to preserve life breath. Because these 2 years has the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there will neither be plowing nor harvest. The supreme authority, mighty Creator, sent me before you to preserve you a remnant in the land, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me here, but the supreme authority, mighty Creator, and he has made me a father to Pharaoh, and master authority of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father, and say to him, Thus says your son Joseph, the supreme authority, mighty Creator, has made me master authority of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not delay. You will dwell in the land of Goshen, and you will be near to me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. I will nourish you there. Because there are yet 5 years of famine, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty. Look, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that speaks to you. You will tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you have seen, and you will hurry and bring down my father here. He fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them, and after that his brothers talked with him. The report of it was heard in Pharaoh's house, saying, Joseph's brothers are come, and it pleased Pharaoh well, and his servant workers. Pharaoh said to Joseph, Say to your brothers, This Jew load your beasts, and go return to the land of Canaan. Take your father and your households, and come to me, and I will give you the good of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. Now you are commanded this, do take wagons out of the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your women, and bring your father and come. Also do not regard your goods, because the good of all the land of Egypt is yours. The children of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the commandment of Pharaoh, and gave them provision for the travel path. To all of them he gave each man changes of garments. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of garments. To his father he sent after this manner 10 donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and food for his father by the travel path. So he sent his brothers away. And they departed, and he said to them, See that you do not quarrel by the travel path. They went up out of Egypt, and came into the land of Canaan to Jacob their father. They told him, saying, Joseph is yet alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Jacob's inner thinking center fainted, because he did not believe them. They told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them. And when he saw the wagons, which Joseph had sent to carry him, the life breath of Jacob their father revived. Israel said, It is enough, Joseph my son is yet alive, I will go and see him before I die. Genesis chapter 46. Israel took his journey with all that he had, and came to Beersheba, and offered sacrifices to the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator of his father Isaac. The Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, spoke to Israel in visions of the night, and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Look, here I am. He said, I am the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator of your father. Do not fear to go down into Egypt, because I will there make of you a great people nation. I will go down with you into Egypt, and I will also surely bring you up again, and Joseph will put his hand upon your eyes. Jacob rose up from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried Jacob their father and their little ones and their women in the wagons, which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They took their cattle and their goods which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed brought he with him into Egypt. These are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. The sons of Reuben, Hanok, Phalu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan, and the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamel. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puvah, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Serdalon, and Jaleel. These are the sons of Leah which he bore to Jacob in Paddan Aram with his daughter Dinah. All the life breaths of his sons and his daughters were 33. The sons of Gad, Ziphi, and Hagi, Shuni, Ezbin, Rodi, and Arali. The sons of Asher, Jimna, Ishua, Isui, Beriah, and Sarah their sister. And the sons of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter. And these she bore to Jacob, even 16 life breaths. The sons of Rachel, Jacob's woman, Joseph and Benjamin. To Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, which Asenath the daughter of Potiphar, serving leader of on bore to him. The sons of Benjamin were Bela, Becher, Ashbal, Jeranaman, Ehi, Rosh, Muppim, Huppim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel which were born to Jacob. All the life breaths were 14. The son of Dan, Hushim. The sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shillem. These are the sons of Bilhah whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and she bore these to Jacob. All the life breaths were 7. All the life breaths that came with Jacob into Egypt, which came out of his loins, besides Jacob's sons' women, all the life breaths were 66. The sons of Joseph, which were born to him in Egypt, were 2 life breaths. All the life breaths of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 70. He sent Judah before him to Joseph, to direct his face to Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. Joseph made ready his chariot, and went up to meet Israel his father to Goshen, and presented himself to him, and fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, Now let me die, since I have seen your face, because you are yet alive. Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's house, I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and say to him, My brothers and my father's house which were in the land of Canaan are come to me. The men are shepherds, because their occupation has been to feed cattle, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. It will happen when Pharaoh will call you and say, What is your occupation? That you will say, Your servant worker's occupation has been about cattle from our youth even until now, both we and also our fathers, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, because every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Genesis chapter 47. Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father, and my brothers, and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and look, they are in the land of Goshen. He took some of his brothers, even 5 men, and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, What is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, Your servant workers are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said, We're over to Pharaoh, for to travel in the land are we come, because your servant workers have no pasture for their flocks. Because the famine is severe in the land of Canaan, now therefore we ask you, let your servant workers dwell in the land of Goshen. Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, saying, Your father and your brothers are come to you. The land of Egypt is before you, and the best of the land make your father and brothers dwell in the land of Goshen. And if you know any men of ability among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. Joseph brought in Jacob his father and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Jacob, How many are the days of the years of your life? Jacob said to Pharaoh, The days of the years of my travels are 130 years, few and evil, have the days of the years of my life, been and have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their travels. Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. Joseph placed his father and his brothers, and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Joseph nourished his father and his brothers and all his father's household with bread according to the mouth of the little ones. There was no bread in all the land, because the famine was very severe, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted because of the famine. Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the grain which they bought, and Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. When money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, Give us bread, because why should we die in your presence? Because the money fails. Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fails. They brought their cattle to Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the donkeys, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle that year. When that year was ended, they came to him the second year, and said to him, We will not hide it from my master Authority how that our money is spent. My master Authority also has our herds of cattle. There is nothing left in the sight of my master Authority but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servant workers to Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, because the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, so the land became Pharaoh's. As for the people group, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end. Only the land of the serving leaders bought he not, because the serving leaders had a portion assigned them by Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them, therefore they sold not their lands. Joseph said to the people group, Look, I have bought you this day, and your land for Pharaoh. Look, here is seed for you, and you will sow the land. It will happen in the harvest that you will give the 5th part to Pharaoh, and 4 parts will be your own for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food for your little ones. They said, You have saved our lives, let us find favor in the sight of my master Authority, and we will be Pharaoh's servant workers. Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt to this day that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the serving leaders only, which did not become Pharaoh's. Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions there, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, so the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. The time drew near that Israel must die, and he called his son Joseph, and said to him, If now I have found favor in your sight, put, I ask you, your hand under my thigh, and deal with trust, loyalty, and truth with me. Do not bury me, I ask you, in Egypt, but I will lie with my fathers, and you will carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burial place. And he said, I will do as you have said. He said, Swear to me, and he swore to him, and Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. Genesis chapter 48. It happened after these things that one told Joseph, Look, your father is sick, and he took with him his 2 sons Manasseh and Ephraim. One told Jacob and said, Look, your son Joseph comes to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. Jacob said to Joseph, El Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me. He said to me, Look, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a company of people groups, and will give this land to your seed after you for an everlasting possession. Now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born to you in the land of Egypt before I came to you into Egypt, are mine, as Reuben and Simon they will be mine. Your offspring, which you father after them, will be yours, and will be called after the name of their brothers in their inheritance. As for me, when I came from Paddan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the travel path, when yet there was but a little way to come to Ephrath, and I buried her there in the way of Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem. Israel saw Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom the supreme authority, mighty Creator, has given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I ask you, to me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see, and he brought them near to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face, and look, the supreme authority, mighty Creator, has shown me also your seed. Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the land. Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near to him. Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands, knowingly, because Manasseh was the firstborn. He blessed Joseph and said, The supreme authority, mighty Creator, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, the supreme authority, mighty Creator, which fed me all my life long to this day, the messenger, which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the land. When Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, because this is the firstborn, put your right hand upon his head. His father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also will become a people nation, and he also will be great. But truly his younger brother will be greater than he, and his seed will become a multitude of people nations. He blessed them that day, saying, In you will Israel bless, saying, The supreme authority, mighty Creator, make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Israel said to Joseph, Look, I die, but the supreme authority, mighty Creator, will be with you, and bring you again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Genesis chapter 49. Jacob called his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which will happen to you in the latter days. Gather yourselves together, and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, and the beginning of my power, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of strength. Unstable as water you will not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simon and Levi are brothers, instruments of violence are in their dwellings. O my life breath, do not come into their secret, to their assembly, my honor. Do not be united, because in their anger they killed a man, and in their self will they hamstrung an ox. Cursed be their anger, because it was fierce, and their wrath, because it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, you are he whom your brothers will give great honor. With joy your hand will be in the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down before you. Judah is a lion's cub. From the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who will rouse him up. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and to him will the gathering of the people groups be. Binding his foal to the vine, and his donkeys colt to the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his clothing in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Zebulun will dwell at the haven of the sea, and he will be for a haven of ships, and his border will be to Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey crouching between two burdens. He saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant worker to tribute. Dan will judge his people group as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be the serpent, by the way an adder in the travel path that bites the horse heel, so that his rider will fall backward. I have waited for your rescue. He exists. Gad, a troop will overcome him, but he will overcome at the last. Out of Asher his bread will be fat, and he will yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose, he gives goodly words. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow remained in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty authority of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, even by the supreme authority, mighty creator of your father, who will help you, and by El Shaddai, who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. The blessings of your father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors. To the utmost bound of the everlasting hills they will be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brothers. Benjamin will raven as a wolf, in the morning he will devour the prey, and at night he will divide the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spoke to them, and blessed them every one according to his blessing he blessed them. He charged them, and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people group, bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite, for a possession of a burial place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his woman, there they buried Isaac and Rebekah his woman, and there I buried Leah. Purchase of the field and of the cave that is in it was from the sons of Heth. When Jacob had finished commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed, and breathed his last, and was gathered to his people group. Genesis chapter 50. Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him, and kissed him. Joseph commanded his servant workers, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel. 40 days were fulfilled for him, because so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. When the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spoke to the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, speak, I ask you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Look, I die in my grave which I have dug for me in the land of Canaan. There will you bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I ask you, and bury my father, and I will come again. Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father according as he made you swear. Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servant workers of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph, and his brothers, and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. There went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. They came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very grievous mourning, and he made a mourning for his father 7 days. When the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Therefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. His sons did to him according as he commanded them. His sons carried him into the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought with the field for a possession of a burial place of Ephron the Hittite before Mamre. Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brothers and all that went up with him to bury his father after he had buried his father. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will perhaps hate us, and will certainly repay us all the evil which we did to him. They sent a messenger to Joseph, saying, Your father commanded before he died, saying, So will you say to Joseph, Forgive, I ask you now, the wrong step of your brothers, and the wrong, because they did evil to you. And now we ask you, forgive the wrong step of the servant workers of the supreme authority, mighty creator of your father. And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, Look, we are your servant workers. Joseph said to them, Do not fear, because am I in the place of the supreme authority, mighty creator. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but the supreme authority, mighty creator, meant it for good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save many people group alive. Now therefore do not fear, I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house, and Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the 3rd generation. The children also of Machir the son of Manasseh were brought up upon Joseph's knees. Joseph said to his brothers, I die, and the supreme authority mighty Creator will surely visit you and bring you out of this land to the land which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, the supreme authority mighty Creator will surely visit you, and you will carry up my bones from here. So Joseph died being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.